Okay, hello, good morning. Sorry for being a bit late. I had like a huge Apple update notifying me, and I couldn't do anything about it. That's the way it is. Cool. Okay, so I've been testing like the new camera and stuff enough. It's actually working. It's just that it freezes after like 20-30 minutes because it's running on battery currently. But I'm just waiting for my. Here it is. I'm getting like a package, and it was like, yeah, it might pop up today or hopefully tomorrow. At least it's on its way to me. Anyways, that doesn't really matter. Let's go in, and don't I have like comments here? There they are, comments. Cool. So let's move into this mode. There we go. And let's get on with our week planner. Yes, here it is. And we were going to actually look at some code today. So we need to move into, oh no, my docking is on the wrong. I have to figure out this. I'm using the iPad as a second screen. I have to figure that out. Oh, this is Code Sandbox. Let's see, where is our week planner? There it is. No, this is something else. Where is it? Blah, blah, blah. Hello, I told you to stop. Where? Family Scrum, there it is. Okay, let's just get our... let's see, here we are. Okay, so we are on the screen. We have implemented all the states for managing a backlog item. So we talked about all these different, like there's so many different states here. You have like invalid state, which basically means now that you don't have a description, because it doesn't matter which one of these are active, it's still valid. And then we talked about what about error, which is not like invalid, it's an actual error state. So we also have an error state. So we've been using the state machine to express all of this. And oops. So what's, yeah, whatever. So what's interesting about this is when we write our code, it typically starts with we're checking the state, and as we are checking the state, we get the typing, which is very, very, very cool. And as we talked about in a previous session, it would be possible to create like a state matching action, so that you will kind of have one callback. You would call like state, like some action, whatever. The first callback will basically just do matches, return the matches, and then the second callback will be the actual action. And then the second callback, the actual action, would only run if this was true. And it would also give you the correct typing. So that's an interesting idea, and I think I'll explore that some more. But anyways, we are going to implement in our effects. We have, oh, this is not coming from state anymore. This is coming from auth state. Yes, so we are going to implement our add backlog item, because currently we're passing in like a description and optionally a date, but I'm not sure if that's correct. So let's take a look at some Dart code. Oops. Update, yeah, because I think I only have an update backlog item here. Let's look at the action first. So we have, that's archive backlog item, toggle week event. I'm I'm confused. This is the week planner, app actions. Don't we have any more actions than this? Archive backlog item, toggle week event. I find that weird. Should be more. We have update backlog item, which is just, it grabs the backlog collection, it passes a description and optionally a date. And then we add the server timestamp. Okay, so we're actually doing all of this now. But what I don't understand what about adding like a week? How does that work? So if I don't understand this. Because we have a collection for weeks, but we can't update the weeks until we get next week UID. What's this thing? Utils. Okay, so this creates the UID for the next week, but then, where was it? Toggle. Shit, where was it? There we are. Oh, that's stream. Stream next week, update week. Yeah, update week. Week UID. We're running a transaction, but what I don't understand is I don't understand this. Edit backlog item. So what do we actually do when we toggle the let's see, where are all the set a date? Yeah, so we are, okay, let's see. So we are rendering toggle weekdays. Blah, blah, blah. On toggle, we toggle the day. And toggle day, selected days profile. What the hell is this? Oh, on pressed. Oh, interesting. That's how I do it. This isn't like ideal. We actually, yeah, so we should make this better. So what I'm doing in the old app, if we look at the UI here, when I add an item, I first add the item and then I go in and like in the component or the widget, which it's called in Dart, I go in and I pass in the data for this stuff. And it kind of has to work that way. But this should be like within the action at least, not right out there in the component. So I am thinking that we should implement this toggle week event. Yes, we should implement that, and then we'll see in our action how we can actually ensure that we also pass in if we have selected some weekdays there. Because yeah, I guess we could like, no, because there are two different collections. So the backlog item itself is in one collection, and then the weekdays are part of a different collection. And this has to, I don't remember all the database structure choices, but it's based on how with Firebase, you structure your database quite a bit differently. You don't create these relationships directly. You have everything's kind of detached. So what you do is that you create documents where the ID of the document is the ID of another document. So you have a collection with IDs, and these IDs actually reference the documents of a different collection, and that's how you kind of map things together. you don't actually insert on the document the ID to a different, well, you kind of do that, but you don't like find them. It's kind of like working with objects in JavaScript, like it's a document database. Anyways, so we'll have to explore this as we go because I don't remember anything of it. But what we should do is implement this toggle week event. So let's look at the API. Let's see. Week planner. Update week. Okay, so this grabs the week. I guess update week is the thing that's being called when we toggle week event. Yeah, update week. Yeah, so I'm thinking that, what is all of this stuff? API update week. And here, oh yeah. Yeah, I'm starting to remember now. Yes, we're getting, yeah, we're updating the week. We are getting the current value from the database, and then we are mapping it. No, not mapping, but comparing it to the current, wow, days. Oh, day index. Is this day index? Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So we are, yeah, toggle week event. That's kind of weird name. That was confusing because you're actually toggling a weekday event. As you can see, it's a specific day index. So what we're doing here, we're looking at the weekdays, and each weekday is a list of event UIDs. So we're going and we're grabbing the specific weekday, and then we check, does it contain the week event UID we're toggling? And if it contains that, it means that we're removing a weekday. And then we go in and we try to update the week using the week UID and the profile UID. Yeah, so we're going to change this as well. Because in the current app, like in the first version of the app, you could not toggle other users' weekdays. And then I think my girlfriend didn't have her phone available, or it was broken or something. So so I changed the app so that I could toggle, like we could toggle each other's weekdays. But that actually caused like super hard problems with in terms of interaction, because you would kind of have to disable the buttons during updates and stuff, or you would kind of toggle each other's, and it got really, really messy. While in the first version, you could just go through and you could toggle everything. You didn't have to wait for it to update to ensure like a good user experience. So we're going to go back to that because now it's web-based anyway. So if you don't have your phone, you can just grab a computer or an iPad or whatever. So we're not going to pass in the profile UID because you can only toggle your own days. But anyways, we're getting the days here. And these are the days from the database. So we are kind of creating a new list that we want to update. So we're getting like all the days from this week from the database. And then we're grabbing the current day that we're looking at. We're trying to toggle. And then we are checking, are we removing? Then we are remove it from the list. And then we update that list, and then we return the days. Yes, which is then added to the database. Cool. So let's see, how should we do this? We want this to happen when we actually add. Okay, so let's jump into our code again. We have our add backlog item, and currently we are adding that. So what I was thinking, I think Firebase has this, you can actually create the UID from the client. And what's interesting about that is that we could do this in parallel. So we wouldn't have to like add the backlog item first and then toggle the week or add like the week data. We could do that in parallel. So I'm thinking that maybe we should do that. Let's see. Firebase create UID on client. Firebase client side. Maybe you can't do that. I thought you could. Like you can create a ref. Let's say Firebase create ref. Let's see. Firebase Firestore create ref. This didn't help me at all. Let's see. This looks like something. There are several ways to write a blah blah blah. Create an empty document, and in this case, Firestore automatically blah blah blah. Okay, so we have DB collection set a document. Do we have any add? I just want to like the structure of the Firebase documentation is really good, but it's kind of missing it often misses the examples you're looking for. At least that's my experience. What is this? Constructor? Oh, city converter. Yeah, I'm actually not sure. Let's see if we can find it by just looking at the API. So this is like get doc. Let's see, Firebase Firestore dot collection. Or maybe this is the real-time thing. Doc. Get a document for the get a document reference for the within the graph. Oh yeah, an automatically generated unique UID will be used for the return document reference. Okay, so I think we can actually do that. So for example, when we add the backlog item, we are explicitly saying add there. But we could say like doc, and then we would actually get the UID, and we could use that. But the problem then becomes like, okay, so you're in this action, you want to add a backlog item, and by doing so, you want instant access to the UID so that you can do the week toggling at the same time. But then this is like a function that we want to wait for it to finish. But we don't want to wait for it to finish because we want the UID right away. So then we kind of have to split it up. We have to say like, okay, first get me a document, and then we kind of pass that document into add backlog item, which I guess is, yeah, we could have like a create backlog item. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so first we say create backlog item, we pass in the data, we get that back, and then we already have the UID, and then we call add backlog item to this profile, and at the same time we'll toggle the week events. Yeah, I think we should do that. Cool. So let's say create backlog item. Oops, create backlog item. There we go. And this backlog item does take a profile. Let's see. doc get doc profile. So now we're getting like the document for the profile, because it's dynamically either a family or your own profile. And then we say collection backlog, and then we just say doc, which means we should be able to say doc set, and then we have the data. Like that, data, and then we return that doc. And now we should have access to the UID created, which means we don't even need a profile here. We just need item, which is then a document reference. How do I express that? Document reference. Do I have to like point to the whole thing? Firebase. Wow. Isn't there a simpler way to type this? Document. Do I have to do the whole thing? That's so annoying. Do we have to write this whole thing? Oh, but now I'm saying doc set. Doesn't that actually add the stuff to the... Yeah, this returns... Okay, so we don't pass the data here. God damn it. We only return a document reference. Yeah, okay. This is a little bit confusing. So we do create backlog item, we just return a document, and then we say item, well, we can say doc, and then we actually, oh yeah, and we need the data here. So we use this return doc set, that thing. So now we have one way to create the item first. Just creates the document, and then we in add backlog item we pass in that document. I wish there was a better type for this. This is kind of crazy. Anyways, and we pass it the data we want to set, and then this handles the adding the timestamp and stuff. That's good. Let's see. And then in our action, we are going to say const doc equals effects API create backlog item using the profile. And then we're rather going to pass in the document. Okay, nice. One thing I don't like about this code is that there's a lot of it. Like typically when I write actions, they are very simple, straightforward. So being so it's so hard to evaluate this state machine, state chart stuff. Because on one hand, you kind of want to do it the right way. You actually explicitly handle all the different states you can be in so that you ensure that you don't run any logic in the wrong state. But that adds a lot of boilerplate. And then you can ask the question, how often does that actually happen? How often does it actually become a problem? And yeah, it does become a problem sometimes, but then you fix it. And applications will always have like bugs. And we're not building a spaceship here. We're just building a simple application. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. Because that's kind of like where state machines came from. It was like you were building some stuff that had to work, and you didn't really have that many good ways of testing it. But now with like the insanely fast feedback loop we have on building web applications, you can quickly argue the cost of bloating your code with all these state checks with just implementing it straightforward, and then rather use the fast feedback loop to get rid of the bugs. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not saying that this is the way it is in any way. I'm just thinking out loud, but it's very interesting because yeah, it's just interesting. Let's see, we can clean it up a little bit. Cool. And then you could of course argue, like, if this was a state chart instead, it would be like declarative, which would maybe help, but state charts, like declarative code, is very rigid, which is also why it's like readable and simpler to read it. But you want all this dynamic behavior. Like, I have no idea how to express this like in a state chart. That would be probably just as boilerplatey. So I like the flexibility. Anyways, let's see what we were going to do. We were going to toggle the week thingy. So what we can do now is, well, we have to check first if we, yeah, so this is also interesting. It's not necessary that we're going to toggle this week item. It's only if there is actually a week item there. So and that means that if there is a weak item there, we want to do it in parallel, and if not, we don't want to do it in parallel. So at least add back, let's see, add backlog item promise. So we can rather grab the promise here, and then we can say, let's see, state backlog item active weekdays. If we have any active weekdays, we are going to, yeah, so toggle weekdays. That can be like a resolved promise, so that we can await promise all. Okay, so we can actually do this more inline. So we can actually do this. Well, it does, and maybe it's not that readable. So let's just do this. So add backlog item promise. Doesn't this return promise? What are you complaining about? The last promise void is not a sound of iterable unknown. Oh, sorry. Needs to be an array. And then we can see, say, total weekdays promise like this. So now we're awaiting both of them. So that's nice. And then we can rather override the toggle weekdays promise. Let's see. And then that becomes us going through the active weekdays. And we need to yeah, so how should we do this? Because our code had update backlog item. We had update, yeah, because it was update week. So we can still call that. Yes. So we had, yeah, so we would rather say effects API update week. And then it asks for which week UID. Yeah, and we'll have to grab that. It's like a utility function which grabs like the current week you're in. And then we get the current days of that week, and then we basically just return the new days. And now the question is, how does that look like? Okay, I think we're going to stop here. I was a little bit late today. But I think we can, yeah, let's just comment this out for now and let's write something here. Pass in current week UID. And we were also passing in the profile UID here, but we're not going to do that anymore. Let's see, week.profile UID. We're going to pass in the the profile of the, let's see, pass in current profile. So we're going to pass in the profile of the user toggling. Week.profile UID. Why is there a profile UID on the week? I wonder. How does a week look like? Oh yeah, it's who the week belongs to, of course. Yeah, and that, okay. So it's the current profile. Yeah, it's the current profile. So instead of grabbing the family from that profile, we always grab the actual profile because that's the person the week belongs to. And we need to know the week UID and then a callback which receives the days. So that will be like a transaction. So we update all the days whenever we toggle a weekday. And in this transaction, we will update like multiple days possibly, which is what we want. But when we do this later, we will toggle just one single day at a time. Cool. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll do that for now. And next time we should, like, every time I think we're going to actually implement the code for saving. But this takes a lot of time, a lot of thinking. But cool. But we are actually adding the backlog item. And that's good. Maybe we could just try that, see if that actually works now. So just a test. No due date. Yeah, and we could add a date here. So that would be state backlog item date. And we only do that if we actually have. Okay, let's see. We are going to say backlog item state. Let's see, backlog item state. Well, it wasn't that much shorter. Cool. Backlog item state. Current selection index. We should use, to be more explicit, current selection index should be like an enum so that we can do like, now we kind of have to check, like, is it 2, which means it's a date. That should rather be an enum. Okay, change to enum. Let's do that next time as well. If that's the case, we're actually going to pass the date, or we just say undefined. Cool. So next time, let's change that to an enum, and then we're going to actually update the weekdays as well. We're going to do that in parallel, and then we're going to see if it works. And if that works, we are on our way to actually yeah, I think we need to build up the home page because we're going to be able to go into the current week and the next week to plan it. And now we actually have quite a bit of logic in place, so it shouldn't be, well, again, I'm not going to estimate anything, but yeah, that seems to be the plan. Cool. Thanks for following along. We are getting I hope this is not too confusing because we're jumping between the old code and this code, and we have Firebase, and then we talk about state management, and we're kind of all over the place. But that again is kind of what development is all about. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll make sure I'll take that into account in the next sessions. Okay, cool. Bye for now.